Okay, everybody. Hello, hello. It looks like we are live. Let me just get the chat up. Let me make sure on Facebook everything seems to be good. Okay, good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever you're watching. So thank you for joining us here this evening. I have got David, one of the participants from my Become a Soul-Led Cat Guardian program. And I've asked David to join me to share with you all his experience of the program. So I can talk to you and tell you what's included and what you'll get. But actually, what I find is there's nothing more powerful than hearing about somebody's transformation. So I've asked David to come and be with me this evening so that we can talk about his experience of the tools and the program and the community and all the details and bits and bobs. So welcome, David, and thank you for being with me this evening.
Thank you, Julianne. I appreciate it, and I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. So we can just about see with your camera, and don't move it because we have got you set up beautifully, but just in the corner of your screen on the top of the cat shelf is the gorgeous boy Walker. We can just about see his head, I think. Yes, to that side. Yeah. Yeah. A gorgeous boy behind you. So he is with us, which I think is just wonderful. And I can also see your bits of coloured fabric on the bed, which again just makes me smile and makes my heart sing. So let's start with sharing with everybody. Why did you come to the program? How did it come to be that you came to work with me?
I discovered you online, and in the process, I was dealing with feelings that I was having in two areas, one about Walker and one about me. And I had come to you specifically to do a chakra cleanse. And then based on that chakra cleanse, it came to light that the things that I wanted to fix with Walker were more about me than it was with him. And that really distressed me quite a bit, that I was actually the source of a shadow in our relationship. And so the chakra cleanse brought that to light. And so I was contemplating how I could go about working with this information and making a change to the relationship. And it was about that time that you announced that you were starting the Soul Guardian program. And that was just the absolute perfect venue for me to begin this journey. So I had no hesitation in signing up, and the rest is history.
It is, indeed it is, which we're going to delve a little bit into. So can you tell us what was the issue in the relationship with you and Walker? What was it that you were bringing to your relationship with him?
Well, there were two things in general, and it was what I was primarily interested in until Walker told us what was really going on. And that was that I had adopted him, and a few weeks after I adopted him, I realized that he was having issues with PTSD and trauma, that he displayed no confidence, no courage. He was always hyper vigilant and always seemed on edge. And I felt badly that he was not relaxed. And so that was my primary reason for coming to you to do the chakra cleanse. Mm-hmm. And then after that, the chakra cleanse. Oh, and then the other part of it was that I had mentioned that over time, because of my age, I started obsessing over what would happen to him if I were to pass away before he did. And because of his PTSD and certain quirks about him, that he would not be the easiest to rehome and to find another home or another foster. And so that worry started to become great fear for me, and kind of overshadowed all of my thinking when it came to my relationship with him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then he confirmed that through the messages that he brought to us during the chakra cleanse. Mm-hmm. So there again, it was the joining the program that seemed to me the perfect venue to work on myself, which is one of the primary things this program is geared for, is for us to examine ourselves, the struggles we're dealing with, the past issues we're dealing with, the past traumas that we might have been dealing with, and to use the tools that you gave us to find solutions to those situations.
Did you realize that when you joined the program that you'd be doing quite so much work on yourself or with yourself?
No. No. There again, I thought it was more, that we were going to be kind of a bit of that, but it would be more focused on our relationship with our cats, or focused in on our cats. And for the first three or four sessions, it was obvious that that was not the case. After a while, we got that out of the way, and then we focused more on our cats and tools we could use with them and working on that relationship. But no, I had no idea. And at first, I was very skeptical that that kind of work could be effective. How wrong I was. And so, no, I had no idea. It is work. It's joyful work. And the work is a direct correlation to what we get back from the program, the amount of work we put into it. So I had a vested interest because it seemed to be my best and, in a way, my only shot with creating the best relationship I could with Walker.
Do you mind if I put a picture up of him, David? I feel I've got an intuitive nudge to share a picture of him with us. Would you be comfortable if I did that?
Oh, my handsome boy, of course.
Okay, just bear with me a second, just so people can see. This is the photo that we used. Hang on. Is it that one? That one. That's the one we used for the chakra cleanse. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So I just thought it would be nice for people to see the gorgeous Walker and this boy that we're talking about that has effectively brought you to the program and then changed your life whilst you've been in it, has he not?
Yes, definitely.
So talk a little bit about, if you wouldn't mind, the roller coaster you went on about with the first sort of half of the program. And the reason that I asked that question is because this isn't a cat communication course. It's not a space for people to simply come and learn cat communication 101. And that is a bit of a distinction that I want to make for people, because it's actually more, I would say, more than that, the connection and the understanding you get of your cat, which we'll come on to. But can you talk a little bit about how it felt for you to have the first half being about you, like the roller coaster that you experienced? Because I know at one point you were having a lot of emotions moving and a bit of a kind of situation, like you said, that you were almost frustrated in a way because you wanted to get to the cat stuff. Could you talk a bit about that?
Yes, certainly. The primary thing that I dealt with at first is that I will admit that I'm not really a group person, and so doing group things was not a natural inclination for me. And so that was, even before we started, one of the things that I questioned whether I would be comfortable with that or not. And the other part of it that I think I had told you as well is that even with my good friends, I tend not to share a lot of my personal life. It's just not what I do. It was part of the culture that I was raised in and part of what my family was about. We just didn't talk about our feelings. We didn't share those kinds of things. So it wasn't a natural inclination for me. And so that really kind of weighed on my mind a little bit. That changed very quickly as we started working and we got to know each other within the group, because you fostered such a profound feeling of safety within the group that it was very easy to open up for me, which surprised me. and to make myself a little vulnerable because I knew that people would understand. And there are not a lot of folks out there that would really understand when you say, I have this deep and intimate relationship with my cat. That a lot of folks would go, that sounds really unhealthy. But within the group, we all have that. And we all understood the foundation of why we were there. And so it made it very comfortable and easy to be able to share these things that I couldn't share anywhere else. And that was of great value to me. And as we progressed, and in the way that you presented it with an explanation of what we were doing and why we were doing it, and then giving us the tools to be able to actively work on these various aspects of challenges that we were dealing with, each one of us having a separate and different kind of group of challenges, but all focused in the same way, back to having the best relationship we could with our cats. And I didn't, and the thing that was great about this was that I didn't realize that it was predicated by us being the best individuals we could be in dealing with our fears, in dealing with our traumas, in dealing with our feelings of inadequacy, and finding ways to find solutions for those kinds of problems that we were having. So that was the very first part of it. And then after that, once we'd established real friendships within the group and trust, and then as we started doing more about our cats, it really opened up the program and became quite a joyful experience. Not that the first part wasn't, but it was work. It was work. I mean, when you're having to go back to understanding why you know, where a certain trauma came from, or why you felt a certain way, and dredging those things up, it is somewhat like therapy, but within a very comfortable, easy setting.
And why did I share with you all that you needed to dredge that up? Like, what was it that I gave you guys in the program? Like, what was the point of it? Because there might be people sat there thinking, well, why would I want to look at my past pain and my trauma? Like, that's in the past, leave it be. You know, tell me how to connect with my cat. So why did I encourage you and give you guys the support and the tools to do that?
For me, my perspective of it is, and other people might have a different perspective, but I think the reason for that for me is because when those things were there, they would always be an obstruction to the relationship with our cats. That, as we know, cats are so tuned in to our energies, and when we're even on a subconscious or non-conscious level, dealing with these things from our past, or dealing with the things that inhibit us, our cats pick up on them. And until we get those out of the way, and we can move out of our heads and that head thinking and that endless negative chatter that can occur, and then begin to move into our hearts. And that was the main thrust to me, is that we're moving from our heads into our hearts, and then establishing a heart-to-heart, that soul connection with our cat. Then it opens up the way for us to freely be able to lean into them, and they can lean into us. So that to me was hopefully the answer to your question.
It's like you said, it's different for everyone. I was intrigued to understand how your journey was, and whether there was the kind of acknowledgement that the hard work, like you said, because it is hard work, you know, let's not sugarcoat it here. I'm not going to say to people, come and join the program, it's a song and dance in the park. It's not about that. It's about people that are ready to heal, but you have to be ready to heal, ready to show up, to do the work, to work through the program, to use the tools to do the work. And I love what you said, and that's the point of the program, is to sit, you know, when I talk to people, because the Soul Ed Guardian program is an application only program. So it's not for everyone. This isn't a course where you sign up and it sits in your inbox. This isn't a course where, you know, anyone can come and join us. It's a course for people that are empaths and highly sensitive people. It's a course for people that are ready to heal and to do the work to heal, to then connect with their cat. And again, we're going to come on to the part with Walker in a few minutes. And it is a space where people need to be ready to do that work, because it's hard looking at, like you said, at pain and trauma and the stuff that goes on with our thoughts around that. You know, one of the things that I say is, and anybody watching who's in the program will know this, you know, that the thoughts are the language of our head, you know, and emotions are the language of our hearts. And you can't just speak one language, which we do get stuck in. We can get stuck in our headspace and the thoughts just go round and round and round and round. And that can be about present day, previous things, future things. And if we're only speaking that one language, we're denying a part of ourselves. And that's what the first half of the program is about. You know, the first two modules, understand and awaken. Understand yourself, understand where you are, what you're going through, what's holding you back from connecting with your cat, and then awaken to how you can deal with it. So can you share with people what has been the kind of your tool of choice? What has been the one tool from the program that has really helped you? And I know that you probably used a few that has really helped you to have or to start that transformation.
Well, you gave us quite a few tools, and they were kind of divided up into kind of categories. And so as I remember, it's like they were like actions, mindset, energy were three of them.
Yes.
One of the tools that I kind of scoffed at the very beginning because I'd never done it was journaling. And I always, you know, for years, you know, everybody's like, journal this, journal this, journal this. And I thought it was just kind of nonsense at first. And it really struck me that the message that you were giving us was get it out of your head and onto paper. Give your head a pen. Excuse me, I hit my microphone. And I really examined that. And then so finally I got a little notebook and I started writing things down. And after a while, I realized that after I'd had a journaling session, I really did feel lighter, that my head was quieter, that all of those thoughts were not ruminating and rambling around in my head and making noise. And so that very quickly became one of my favorite tools. One of the other things that was a part of the tools that I was doing already is meditation, that it's very important with a lot of the work that we're doing. And then when you're working with your cat in that working on the relationship, is finding a place of stillness and quiet so that you're able to drop down into your heart space. And so that was one of the other tools that I really enjoyed. A third one was what we do on a constant basis, and what every time, predictably every week or every few days, it's like, what are your wins? What are your wins? So celebrating our wins was another tool that I enjoyed and found indispensable in mentally being able to chart my progress and to look back and see all the things that occurred that I was able to do or that happened that were those wins in the work with ourselves and the work with the relationship with our cats. So, and the one thing I would want to say there is, it's not really a tool, but it's harkens back to the first part of the program, and to me almost became a mantra of the program, and that is find it, feel it, release it.
Yes.
And that is the point that I always kept in mind in doing the work, because when you do that and you can release it, it opens up yourself and your heart to bring in so many new other things that changed my life as well as my relationship with Walker.
Oh, it's like I've primed you, David. I mean, and I haven't, everybody. I haven't given him a script. I gave him a couple of questions that we might cover, but I haven't said, I haven't primed David at all. And to hear you say back to me, find it, feel it, and release it is as a mantra that you're using, and is kind of now there with everything that you're doing. I tell you, that truly warms my heart, because that is the foundations almost that run through the whole of the program. The two modules about the humans, and we've got the two modules about the cat. And it's all the way through. It is all the way through that, it's that journey of understanding yourself. What are you feeling? How can you deal with it? What do you need to do with it? How can you release it? And then the same with the cats as well. So that truly warms my heart to hear you say that. It does.
Well, it's quite true. And it did become a mantra for me, with the work that I did. It's a substantial, as we have said, it's a substantial investment of time, of emotion. And as I said before, I felt this was kind of my best, and not only, but my best chance to have that relationship that I wanted with Walker. Because
so that's a question I've got for you. So why was it that you wanted to take the program? So we've talked about the fears that you had and that you'd heard from him with the chakra cleanse, but what was it for you that stopped you from doing stuff yourself to taking that step and, like you said, having that kind of emotional and time commitment to take that leap into the program? What was it for you?
I think the first thing I'd want to say is that the importance of it to me, in terms of Walker and the long relationship that we have had, because I feel very firmly that he and I have experienced more than just this lifetime together, and how he came into my life. And I guess to more directly answer your question is, I didn't have at first I didn't know that I was the problem rather than Walker. And I didn't have the knowledge or the tools to be able to make those changes, that I simply just didn't know what to do, that I was so wrapped up in, I had an intuitional feeling that I was contributing kind of to issues that Walker was having. But it wasn't until the chakra cleanse that it really became clear to me that I needed to be the one to step up to the plate and to make the changes. It wasn't up to Walker to do that. And that in my clearing out that negativity and those negative emotions and negative experiences, then I would be able to he would be able to lean into me, that I wasn't putting a shadow between us and an obstruction between us.
Yeah. Lovely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. How has the program impacted your relationship with him? Let's talk about the beautiful boy. Let's bring him in more. Tell us how it's impacted your relationship with him.
To say that it has been transformational, I think, is not being over dramatic. That, as I've casually said in my relationship with him that at times he could be very kind of distant and diffident and not show a lot of affection. And over the course of this program and the work that I'm doing with him, to see how he has responded to me with more affection, I just feel like that it really is true, that I feel like that my heart has connected to his and his is connected to mine. And that was all that I wanted. Because of what I knew of our previous relationship, for those that can resonate with the idea of having relationships in prior lives.
Mhm.
And I know that I have had at least 3 or 4 with him,
Yes.
and they all culminated in unfinished business. And so we're back together again, and I felt that I needed to really step up to do what we're trying to do in terms of having this relationship again and again and again. I would like to think that it would continue on indefinitely.
Mhm.
Um, but this is our chance to make the most of it within this lifetime.
I love that. That is so
Yep.
beautiful. So beautiful. So let's ask the big question. Have you been able, and I'm not going to say hear Walker, because I don't like to distinguish between, hearing their thoughts and emotions. I use the phrase receive. So tell us, have you been able to receive Walker as a result of going through the program?
Absolutely, yes. That just to mention that prior into going to the program, that I have a certification in animal Reiki, and for about 3 or 4 years, I've been working on refining my animal communication abilities. And it has always been very frustrating to me, and not uncommon, by the way, that in communicating with your own cats can sometimes be difficult.
Mhm.
And I found it very difficult with Walker. It was very rare that I could connect with him and get any kind of substantial information from him. And since being in the program, first of all, having that communication is not as important to me as just being soul to soul with him.
Yes.
That the messages now are secondary
I love that.
because all of that communication becomes wordless. It just flows back and forth.
Mhm.
So I don't need to hear specific things. It's always great. I mean, it's always nice to be able to get something,
Mhm.
but it's not important to me anymore because it's filled with just that constant flow of love and respect and wisdom from him to me, and my being able to provide a safe, loving environment for him.
Mhm.
So that is a big change for me, that, being able to sit and talk with him was really important. And now it's not as important as it used to be, but it does happen now.
Mhm.
And I get a lot more information from him and have had a couple of pretty substantial conversations with him. And that is indescribable when you can and be able to know that you're accessible to them
Mhm.
if they have a need or a want, or uh, uh, want to express something, keeping that throat chakra open and not blocked. And that was important to me, that I don't restrict Walker in any way. He's got run of the house. This house is his, and I don't want to squash any inclination that he would have, any information that he would want to give me, any behavior, aside from a couple of things that I would like for him not to do. But we negotiate those instead of, my treating him like a pet. He's not.
Mhm.
He's my
Mhm.
he's my teacher. He is my best friend.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful that you just said the words aren't as important anymore. It's about the connection and the receiving of his soul. I mean, again, that's just so beautiful to hear. Would you mind telling people about the water example?
Oh, sure. This was only maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I have to give a little bit of background that one of the things that makes Walker a little bit unique is that he has a very sensitive stomach, so he can't eat a lot. And so I have to feed him like about 10 times within a 24-hour period. And because of that, I have a little automatic feeder. And I can put food in there, his wet food, and it'll pop open a couple of times during the night. And he can get a little snack, and then he'll hop back up in the bed. And usually he'll hop up on me and want me to pet him and give him a head scratch, and then he'll curl up and go back to sleep. So as a light sleeper, I heard the feeder pop open. And then about 10 minutes later, he hopped up on the bed and he was pawing at me the same way he would like, feed me, because a lot of the time he will come to me before the lid pops open. And so I'll get up and I'll open it for him, and then I'll just get back in bed. Mm-hmm. So I thought he was doing that. And so I looked at him and I said out loud, it's like, dude, you just ate. I'm not going to get up. I'm not going to feed you anything. And I was half asleep, and I was just about to a point where I was asleep again. And very clearly, I heard water. And it was so clear and so unexpected that it woke me up, and I went, okay. I went out to where his water bowl is, and it was completely empty. And so he was demanding that he had to have fresh water in his bowl. Mm-hmm. So that was my little experience and I enjoyed this experience because it taught me something, and that was something that you had also taught us and laid out as kind of a requisite for being able to lean into them. And that is clearing your mind of thoughts. And that's what the stillness exercise is, and creating a calm environment, being able to move into your heart and moving those thoughts out of the way. And so that was a real world example for me, to where being half asleep, I didn't really have any thoughts in my head, and how he was able to come through so clearly with that message. And that brought such joy to my heart that I realized that we can do this, and it can happen. It's just, it's up to me to be able to be in that space, to be able to do it, and give him the opportunity to come through that space I'm able to open up for him.
Yes, absolutely beautiful. I love that. And thank you for sharing. I thought it was important for people to know that sometimes weird things would happen on this program. We've had in the group, people say these strange experiences, and I said there's no such thing as a coincidence. You are growing, you're evolving. And yet our heads look for the logical answer. Our Brendas, we've got all sorts of names in our group for our heads. They create a way for us to be. They create a way for things to be. They try to attach, logic and understanding. And we use a term in the program, data points and anchor points. And I think it was beautiful for you to experience that with Walker. And not only did you register it as a data point, I can connect with him and I have that stillness, and you had that learning, but it's also an anchor point that actually every time you go to connect with him, if you feel that you can't quite do it, or it's not quite working, or you're not quite in the zone, you know why that is, because you've experienced him when you were in that still space, when you were out of your head and probably fully in your heart. Your chakras would be open. When we sleep, our energy shifts and moves. So you've got that moment where no, I can connect with him. I know I can. I just need to come into that space. And like you just said, to allow him to receive me and to work with him. I think that's lovely. It's lovely.
One of the things within the program, and I think any participant that might hear this will chuckle and smile, that we have developed a vocabulary for ourselves. So you were talking about data points and anchor points. And then we have terms like caterpillar soup, and I'm trying to think of a few others. Beef lasagna and fish and chips. And it would make no sense to anyone, but anybody within the program would know, yep, I know exactly. And those are tools that we use. We go back to, is it beef lasagna or fish and chips? Today I feel like caterpillar soup. And it gives us a common vocabulary that has a whole concept behind it, that is integral within the program and makes it very special for the participants.
Yes. I love that. I love that you brought that into the interview.
Yeah. Well, how could I not?
I did that today. I did a beef lasagna and fish and chips today because I just could not figure out my next step. And I was like, right, practice what you preach, Julianne.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about the format of the program. So, I mean, I appreciate we've done it slightly differently because you guys were the first intake that I worked with, and we've got version 2 coming out to you guys soon. But let's talk about the fact that you've got the weekly calls. So we do weekly connection calls, and there is a private community group. So can you tell me what is your favorite thing about the weekly calls, the connection calls that we have?
Definitely the connection calls is that it gives us an opportunity to, even though we all have our individual challenges and the individual things that we're working on within our lives, that there really is kind of a common thread through all of that. And the connection calls give us an opportunity to both give and receive support from each other and to each other. And I find that deliciously inclusive for me. As I said before, the idea that I tended to be very private, and now I so enjoy being able to share these experiences with each other. And a lot of it is primarily that we can support each other. As somebody comes in and has a win, the first thing you do on the call is, as we're setting up, drop your wins into the chat.
Yes.
And we talk about our wins, the wins that we've had for the week, the wins that we've had for the month. And then we discuss those, and we discuss the particular challenges that we might have had for that week, and share those and feel as if that we're heard, and that we're getting an empathetic, supportive response from the group. And I find that to be just so heartwarming for me.
Good. So we have connection calls every week. Anybody listening to this, it's part of the program. We have weekly calls, and if you come and they're live, they're with, I host them, so it's extra chance to get support with me. And like David said, the group, the community, they support each other. And those calls are recorded, so you can watch the replays. And I even said to David when we were setting up the tech ready for this interview, I said, have you heard because we have 2 connection calls, one on a Monday, one on a Wednesday. And I said, have you heard the connection call from today? I said, because the ladies that were on it, we were celebrating you. So even when David wasn't on the call, we were celebrating David. We were saying about how his transformation has inspired us. So, they are a beautiful opportunity to keep connected with the program, which is why it's not just like drop the content in your inbox. Yes, you can do it at your own pace because everybody's journey is different and everybody's healing is different. However, with the weekly calls, and we also have an end of month live call as well, it's the chance to stay connected. And in that connection, I hope my intention was that it brings people to the space where they can constantly connect with their cat. So if you are having a tough time, you've got a poorly cat, you've got health challenges, life's just a bit dense right now, you can still join the call and you can still know that you can come back. You can come back to the content, you can come back to the tools, you can come back to the connection and the community. I hope that comes across. And this monthly call that we ended in September, we did speed dating. So it wasn't just, and I know that went down particularly well with the group, it wasn't just me. So I did a bit of teaching. I talked about overwhelm and overstimulation, the differences of them. We talked a bit about journal prompts for that. But also it gave people the chance to connect. So we put people into breakout rooms and they were partnered up and everybody got a chance to share and to speak and to connect on their common ground and experiences and their struggles. And again, it's not just a place where the program is come and learn from me. Like, I've created the program, the content's there for everybody. You come and learn from me, and then you get supported by the community. Can you talk a bit, David, about how you feel about the community with the private group that we've got and with those calls? Like, how has that helped you with your healing journey and with your relationship with Walker?
Well, it's been indispensable for that I think the relationships that I have been able to forge within the group, and just as an aside, the speed dating thing was really cool because we were able to speak one-on-one with each other, which we don't really have an opportunity to do in that way. We can chat back, we can type, within chat and make comments back to each other, but we don't often have a chance to really just to casually have a conversation with each other. Mm-hmm. And we were able to do that, and we all just enjoyed it so much because we honestly do think of each other as good friends at this point. So not only are we group participants, but we really are friends within a group. So it was a wonderful experience. So back to that, the community, as I alluded to earlier, is one that gives us an opportunity, gives me an opportunity to express and to explore in a way that I can't do anywhere else, because I don't have that kind of support among my friends or among my family members, that it just isn't there. And I never, the point of transformation for me again is I never would have thought that within this kind of a group that I would feel so comfortable sharing what I'm sharing, and to find through that and working the program and working with the tools that it truly has changed my life. That, as an example, as I said earlier, that had great fear about the future of Walker if I were to pass away. The amazing thing is that fear now is gone. It's irrelevant, because what I can do now is to focus in on right now, my relationship with Walker right now. I have no control over what happens in the future. And I now know that Walker actually is strong enough. He can cope, he'll get by. That this is a part of the contract that we had with each other in this lifetime. And so through the program, I have been able to let all of that go. It's irrelevant at this point. Mm-hmm. So I'm that to me is the most incredible part of the program. And to not have that fear and that worry opens up my spirit and my heart to so many other things, rather than being consumed by fear and worry and doubt and what if. And again, the other thing we have learned is that we can dispense with the shoulda, woulda, coulda, and just be in the moment, be in the now. That's all we have. And that's all that's necessary.
I completely agree. And for anybody that, again, that's watching or catches the replay that's from the program, will know that should is a word in our community that is often highlighted. I was trying to think of a way not to say that, but you're right. We don't like it. We don't like the shoulds. And I have to say, when I would listen to you all in the first few lessons, in the first few connection calls that we would have, the language that you would use, the participants, about yourself, and this is where we get stuck in our heads, was in that space. I should be doing this, I should have done that, and like you said, the fear, the doubt, the worry, all that kind of those dense vibrational energies. And now I hear you guys talking on the connection calls, and it's like you I would say I'm on your shoulders, but a couple of you have said like I'm in your heads, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But like you go to say something and you're like, oh no, hang on a second, let me rephrase that. And when people say, oh, it's always been this way, I'm like, and then the people say, no, in the past it's been that way. And I just love the fact that change of language is the change of mindset, which, like you said, the tools that the program brings for you, it's a space to look at yourself, to have this mirror in front of you, to look at, where am I, what's going on, and then you get to choose, right? So the whole point of the program, again, one of the foundational elements is that you get to choose how you feel, what you do, how you act, what's going on with you. And if I'd have said to you in a simple way, you get to choose whether you're fearful about Walker or not, you know, your head's going to start to go crazy. Well, of course I don't get to choose. That's what I'm experiencing. That's what's going on. And yet, with the tools in the program, you have been able to identify that, to lean into it, to find it, to feel it, to release it. And I have no doubt that it still comes up, that it still pops up, it bubbles up, it comes through, it comes in every now and again. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does it still pop up every now and again?
Of course.
Exactly. But now you have the choice. Now you have the choice. So what do you do with it? Do you sit with it and swim with it around in your head? Or do you deal with it and you can come back into your heart and be with Walker?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have the choice, don't you?
Yeah. Even in the best relationship, it's having a cat is a roller coaster. And so every day is different. Every day brings new things, good things, puzzling things, frustrating things. And like you said, with the tools that we have available to us now, we can make choices as to how we respond to those, rather than feel powerless within those feelings and those emotions. Mm-hmm. That we can make a choice. We can stop. We can pull a tool. We can take three breaths. We can, count to 10 and reframe the experience in a positive way for ourselves. And that's the beauty of this program. And it affects every aspect of your life, ultimately. So when I came into this, I thought, we're going to be working on my cat. We're going to be, I'm going to become a better bud to him. And what has happened is it's made my whole life fall into a place of peace and equanimity, I guess would be the word.
Wow.
And that's pretty astounding,
I'll say.
Yeah. Because you know how I was at the very beginning, and I was, I was pretty uptight, and I was reticent about the idea of sharing too much, and wasn't sure this was the thing to do. But there again, I felt like this was my best chance to make a change, make a difference in my relationship with Walker. And ultimately it made a difference and a change in me, which is pretty cool.
It is very cool. And I have to say, when I first connected with you, I wouldn't have used the word uptight. I would have used it with fearful. You were so consumed by your fear about, as you've shared, your relationship with Walker, and if you weren't available to support him and to understand him and to connect with him, how would he cope? And I'll never forget, one day you said to me, I realized how brave and strong he is, how strong Walker is, and actually I've not given him credit for that. And
Right.
that, I think, for me was one of the turning points for you, not just in your understanding of him, but in your awareness of your relationship with him and how you were showing up with him, what you were bringing to him, how you viewed him, the energy that you held him in. All of that shifted when you had that realization. And again, the tools that you've done and the steps that you've taken in this program, I commend you, David. I said to you, you've inspired me on more than one occasion with the honesty that you've brought to the community, the commitment to yourself and your relationship with Walker. And it's real testament, to see you both now when you're receiving him. And like I said, you're not just hearing his thoughts, but you are receiving him and you're open to that. And of course, our doubts, our worries, our fears, they will continually come up. And that's the contract we have with our cats. They are with us for a reason, every single one of them. They are with us for a reason. They are with us for a soul contract. They are with us to help us grow. So that fear that bubbles up every now and again, it's going to be there. But like you said, you can choose as to what you deal with it, how you deal with it and what you do with it. And I want to just we've got a couple of minutes left. Just wrap up with how has this impacted your relationship with Walker? So we've talked a bit about the fact that you can receive him. We've talked about how it's changed you and actually your wider life, and not just your relationship with him. But can you share like an overview as to how do you feel about him now? How is your relationship with him now?
Prior to this, and because of some of the things that I've talked about, his PTSD and his stomach sensitivity, and not long ago, several months ago, he was diagnosed as hyperthyroid and a couple of other medical issues. And I tended to almost feel a kind of pity for him. And because of the program, I don't feel that way. As you said, that my view of him is that he is, and as you have emphasized to us, that our cats are souls in a cat body, as we are souls in a human body. And in that way, we are all beings of light. And within that light, we're all perfect. And so I see him in a kind of perfection. And so I don't feel like I have room to pity him anymore. That I see him a lot more, even though I have said this, I see him truly a lot more as a teacher for me. Mm-hmm. He has such wisdom. And because of the program and because of the tools that I have, I can open up to see that wisdom and to incorporate that and be able to lean into his wisdom as he can share it with me, which he couldn't have done before because I had blocked that. And so in that way, I feel like our relationship is really less, and I keep calling him my buddy and my best friend. It's a lot more than that, that it truly is one of equality, rather than he's my little buddy down there on the floor or up in a cat tree. And I really now see him on that very equal level and honor and respect him in that way. So that to me is the biggest change in our relationship that I can convey right now. If that makes sense to you.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. And Therese is here. She says, I agree with you, David. Being in the group was also my best chance to make a change with my relationship with Penny and myself. Absolutely. It's lovely to have you here, my love. Okay, so 2 questions left. So what was the biggest surprise for you for the program?
Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind, that it actually works.
I love it.
It actually works. I was very skeptical. It was like, I'm doing this, and as I said, this is my best shot for it. But I just didn't expect how it really works when you put the work into it, and you put the time into it, you put the intention into it. It works. So that was my biggest surprise.
I love that. I love how honest you've been. That's beautiful. Yeah. Okay. And a final question is, what would you say to somebody who was on the fence and whether they were considering signing up or having a call with me to take that kind of that leap to look into the program? What would you say to them?
I would say, for all the reasons that I have talked about in my relationship with my cat Walker, that if that's your starting point and you want to improve the relationship with your cat and you want to be able to lean into them in their heart and have them lean into you, without hesitation, you should make that call and have a chat with Julianne. It is not without work, as we have said, but it is so worth the work you put into it. It can lead to a transformation in your life. And you will see that it goes far beyond just wanting to improve the relationship with your cat, that it's going to improve yourself. It's going to improve your relationship with everyone around you and with the world. And that is a pretty darn compelling reason to consider taking this program.
Thank you, David. I love that. Is there anything else that you would like to share with everybody tonight before I wrap us up?
The last thing I would say is I cannot thank you enough for providing this opportunity for us to be able to work on ourselves and work with our cats. And you are the one thing I will say, and I mean this in the best spirit, I hope you don't mind my saying this, the work that you have to do, Julianne is relentless in making sure that we do this work. And always there as an encouraging force and tapping us on the shoulder to keep us moving forward. You have a cheerleader right there, right beside you. So I appreciate that as well. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. I just love your honesty. It really is inspiring. And you're absolutely right. I don't let people off easy.
No, you do not.
It's my job to help you to grow, and I love it, and that's why I do it. So I'm glad that you can recognize that in the good spirit that it's meant.
Definitely in a good spirit.
Okay, so let me just take a couple of comments. So Chris says, to be able to recognize what the animal world has to teach us about ourselves and the fear control we need to release, I believe, is how we ascend toward the new world that we wish to live in. That's beautiful.
Yep.
Absolutely. Sarah says, what a wonderful session. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, David. It's so beautiful to hear. Wishing you and Walker all the very best, and some lovely little hearts. Therese says, thank you, Julianne. Thank you, David, for being so open and lovely within our group. Absolutely echo that. Absolutely. And Laurie says, thank you so much. It's been a beautiful interview. Thank you for sharing the most beautiful, compassionate, kind and loving wisdom. So on that note, thank you, David, for your time today. Thank you for your commitment to yourself and to your gorgeous boy. I think you, as you said, you've had a transformation, and I still continuously see you growing and evolving. And every time I see or read a post from you, I'm like, wow, he is a soul-led guardian. It just keeps growing. So keep doing all the work that you are, and keep leaning into your connection with your boy. And if I may, I'm just going to pop him up again just before we finish, so that people can see who we've been talking about. Let me pick this picture. Look at this gorgeous boy. Can you see my screen? There he is. Look at the gorgeous Walker. He is the reason that we're here. He is the reason that David has evolved, the reason that David has understood and awoke and become awaken. I'm not quite sure the tense of that. I was trying to get my modules in. Understand, awaken, connect, and nurture. My point is, Walker is the reason that David has evolved. Look at this gorgeous boy. Just look at him. Let's just appreciate him for a second. Gorgeous boy. Oh, his heart feels so warm, David. It's lovely. So thank you to Walker. Thank you to David. Thank you to everybody that's been here. And thank you to anybody that catches the replay. If you are interested to come and join the Become a Soul-Led Cat Guardian program, head to my website, www.naturallycats.co.uk. You can book a call with me. I can tell you all about the program, and we can see if you're ready. See if you're ready to take that step on your healing journey and come and join us in the community. So thank you, David. I look forward to seeing you on the next call, and so much love. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye, everyone. See you next time.